A backstage personality has pitched a massive angle where Paul Heyman could betray Roman Reigns and join forces with a popular WWE legend. Sam Roberts thinks the Wiseman siding with The Rock against the Tribal Chief could be a shocking twist that leaves the WWE Universe stunned. Both the Final Boss and Reigns are currently away from the promotion. In their absence, Solo Sikoa has taken control of the bloodline. He has kicked out Jimmy USO and enlisted Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa into the faction. On the other hand, Paul Heyman finds himself in a conflicted position as he's wary about Sikoa's unchecked power. Amid this, on the latest episode of his Not Sam Wrestling podcast, Sam Roberts pitched an angle that could further complicate the saga. The WWE backstage personality spoke about the possibility of the Wiseman betraying Roman Reigns upon his return and revealing himself to be working for The Rock. Roberts suggested that if The Rock were to be secretly controlling the bloodline, it would make sense for Heyman to choose a path where he's most likely to succeed. Would it make sense for the We to actually be Paul Heyman? That Paul has sided with the new bloodline. And if The Rock is associated with the new bloodline, wouldn't it make even more sense for Paul to associate himself with that new bloodline, as that's where the success goes? Roberts said, 54:55:12, Ryback wants Roman Reigns to have a part-time in-ring schedule in WWE. During a recent edition of his Ryback TV podcast, the former Intercontinental Champion stated that the Tribal Chief could adopt a much more relaxed schedule going forward. Ryback stated that, owing to his health battles in the past, Roman Reigns could go the Undertaker way and compete annually only at WrestleMania. Well, Roman Reigns, was in remission. It's always in remission, right? It never just goes away. He's had an outstanding career and a long championship reign. Roman Reigns, doesn't need to be around for the next 20 years, and he has a family. I think he's made more than enough money. I think we could be seeing a much more limited schedule at the very least. Maybe he does WrestleMania like The Undertaker once a year, Ryback said. It remains to be seen when the big dog gets back on WWE TV, and if it results in a civil war between him and Solo Sikoa for control of the bloodline. In the world of WWE, alliances are forged and broken, loyalties tested, and betrayals are often the most shocking twists of all. The stage is set for a seismic shift in the landscape of sports entertainment as Paul Heyman, the cunning advocate and confidant of Universal Champion Roman Reigns, turns his back on the head of the table to align himself with a figure of even greater prestige, a 17-time world champion whose name strikes fear into the hearts of his opponents. The story begins with the seemingly unbreakable bond between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, a partnership built on mutual respect, shared ambition, and an insatiable thirst for power. Heyman, the mastermind behind some of the most dominant forces in WWE history, saw in Reigns the potential for greatness, and together they formed the Bloodline, a formidable faction that reigned supreme over the SmackDown roster. But beneath the surface of their alliance, tensions simmered. Heyman, ever the opportunist, saw in Reigns not just a client but a means to further his own agenda. As the weeks passed and Reigns' dominance grew, Heyman's influence over the Universal Champion became more pronounced until it seemed as though he held the reins of power himself. Meanwhile, whispers began to circulate backstage of a shadowy figure waiting in the wings, biding his time before making his presence felt once more. This figure, a legend in his own right, had achieved every accolade imaginable in the world of professional wrestling, yet hungered for more. His name alone was enough to send shivers down the spines of his adversaries, a name that struck fear into the hearts of all who dared to oppose him. As tensions within the bloodline reached a boiling point, the stage was set for the ultimate betrayal. In a shocking turn of events, Heyman, the architect of Reigns' rise to power, revealed his true allegiance, not to the Tribal Chief, but to the 17-time world champion waiting in the wings. The WWE Universe watched in stunned silence as Heyman, the man who had stood by Reigns' side through thick and thin, plunged the proverbial knife into the back of his most prized client. The fallout from Heyman's betrayal sent shockwaves throughout the WWE landscape. Reigns, blindsided by the actions of his trusted advisor, found himself facing not only the prospect of losing his Universal Championship but also the shattered remains of the bloodline. Betrayed and embittered, Reigns vowed revenge against Heyman and his newfound ally, swearing to reclaim his rightful place at the head of the table. Meanwhile, Heyman's alliance with the 17-time champion signaled a new era of dominance in WWE. With Heyman's cunning intellect and the champion's unparalleled skill and experience, the duo seemed all but unstoppable. Together, they laid waste to anyone who dared to stand in their way, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. But as the weeks turned into months, cracks began to form in Heyman's newfound alliance. The champion, accustomed to being the alpha in any partnership, chafed under Heyman's manipulative influence, while Heyman, ever the opportunist, began to see the cracks in his new ally's armor. As tensions between the two reached a breaking point, the stage was set for yet another seismic shift in the landscape of WWE. In a climactic showdown for the ages, Reigns, fueled by rage and betrayal, faced off against Heyman and his former ally in a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. The match itself was a brutal affair, with all three men giving everything they had in pursuit of victory. But in the end, it was Reigns who emerged triumphant, reclaiming his rightful place at the head of the table and vanquishing his former mentor and his would-be usurper once and for all. As Reigns stood tall in the center of the ring, the WWE Universe erupted in cheers, celebrating the downfall of Heyman and the triumph of the Tribal Chief. The ultimate betrayal had been avenged, and order had been restored to the WWE hierarchy. But the scars of Heyman's betrayal would linger for years to come, a constant reminder of the treachery that lurked beneath the surface of the squared circle.